All right. So first off, acquisitions manager. Dan, what exactly is an acquisitions manager?
Ooh, great question. Uh, they are exactly what you want them to be, right? We've
Yep.
actually used acquisitions manager in a few different roles. I would say, starting out, you definitely want to focus them in one area, but acquisitions managers typically the way it's structured and the way we run it is they are the person that is engaging with those leads once they come into your system. There's different ways to bring those leads into your system and different phases at which you can have your acquisitions manager start working on them. But just fundamentally looking at it, acquisitions manager, if somebody calls into your business, that's their lead, that goes into their book of clients, and they're in charge of doing all the follow up, all the sales calls. They'll run appointments typically, whether that's managing a virtual appointment running or doing it themselves, like we have locally. Our acquisition manager runs those appointments. They'll typically get the contract signed, and once we're at that phase, then they throw it over the fence. So they're your salesperson. The face of your business. So it's a pretty critical role.
Yeah, it's super critical. And, like you said, there's a lot of different roles and responsibilities that they have. But I think the number one thing is they are the customer facing person of your business.
Yeah,
So,
and there's different degrees too. Like let's start with like if you're a solopreneur, that's you. You're doing everything under the sun, right? Somebody calls in, you take that call, you nurture that call, you run your appointments, you run your follow ups, you make your offer, you underwrite the deal. You're doing all of it. And with your acquisition manager, a lot of companies will have like a junior act and a senior act, and some like us right now, like we do a lot of the underwriting ourselves still. However, the as that acquisition manager kind of grows more in senior level and learns more, then they can really start helping develop and underwrite deals, which gives them just so much more confidence when they're negotiating and being able to kind of go up and down in price as they need to.
yeah. And I think that the best way to sort of do that portion is kind of a mix. This is my opinion. Because, as the business owner, the person's actually signing the contract. You're the one that's on the hook if they make a bad offer, right? So you, we build out tools and things that allow our acquisitions managers to make offers and sort of have a general guideline of where they're going to be. But you always want to give it like a final approval, obviously, before something closes or really
Yeah.
gets moving forward too much, right? So I think one of the main conversations that a lot of people have is at what point in my business should I hire an acquisitions manager? I think that it's not about when in your business you should do so, but at like, is that a role that you honestly need to be filled based off of A, your strengths, and B, what you like to do? Because you go through any of these, masterminds, groups, whatever, that's the biggest thing that so many people are like, oh, yeah, you build out these systems, you hire an acquisition manager, now you can bro down because they're the one that's doing all the work, right? Which
Right.
is A, not true at all. If anything, it creates more work because now you're managing people and processes and you have to, spend your time generating opportunities for them so they can get paid. And then also too, for a lot of people, honestly, if you're the guy that's crushing sales, a guy or girl, you're the person that's what you do and that's what you enjoy, which is a lot of people that we've met in this space. You probably shouldn't hire that out because you're never going to be happy with their performance,
Yeah.
honestly. You know,
Yeah,
th-
if you're really good at something, you enjoy it. Like, there's no way anybody's going to meet your expectations, and you should
yeah.
continue to do that. And like what we found talking to other investors that are kind of at that breaking point where they're like, I just don't have capacity to grow my business or whatever reason, but they love the sales. It's like, okay, maybe you need to hire somebody to do all the back end work and take care of that so you can be the face of your business. Or maybe you need to hire a lead manager who's going to take the front end of your sales and just schedule you appointments and help you with some of that cold follow up so that you can focus on all your hot leads and focus out in the field with your customers.
So I think that, this kind of goes back to what we talked about in the first half of the podcast and you're building your business. You kind of have to look at what you want it to, what you want your business to look like as a whole. And honestly, when you're hiring people, you got to be hiring for need more so than want, especially when you're starting out. Like
Yep.
if there are parts that you're good at and you don't mind doing them, just do it. You don't need to bring someone in to do that role.
Yeah, and taking a true assessment of your strengths and your weaknesses, and if
Mm-hmm.
something is like feels like friction to you,
Yeah.
that's probably not what you should be doing. That's
Mm-hmm.
probably where you should bring somebody in. If you just don't like it and you every time you think about it, it just makes you feel uncomfortable or you just hate it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Get somebody else to do it because you can probably hire that skill out for a reasonable cost.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I would say to about hiring this person, remember they are the face of your business. And something to think about is your business brand and how they are working with your clients and how they're working with other investors in your community. Because naturally, in our market, any market, there's going to be a community of investors that know your AC manager by name, right? They know your dispositions manager by name, and like having that credibility for your business through that person. So I just think about some other folks locally that, you have these AC managers that maybe bounce around and maybe their credibility isn't that strong. It's like, do you want that brand for your business?
Yeah.
Like, don't just hire an acquisitions manager because they have experience somewhere else. In fact, we've had better luck, I feel like, with inexperience. Maybe they have other sales experience, but they're not necessarily experienced in real estate because we can teach them that piece.
Either way, I think point being, when it comes to having an acquisitions manager, it's not 100% necessary for your business. You need to look at if it's honestly a weakness of yours that you need to hire out. Also, I guess if you get to a point of lifestyle, if you want to outsource that position, realize that, especially if you are a key salesperson, that they will not perform as well as you. And you just have to sort of accept that. Like the way I've always viewed it is, if you're willing to accept 80% effectiveness for, more time to work on other parts of the business, that's literally what having employees is. But there's no right or wrong way to do it. And you really just got to find someone that has the grit and the understanding of what this job really entails. Because when you're bringing someone on, especially if you have a business where you are facing customers directly, like in their homes, and you're meeting with them, go with them. Find like the worst appointment that you're going to in the week, where you're going to be walking through a house that's just reeks and that is going to be in a terrible neighborhood, and bring them along and just pick up on their body language, because you will know extremely quickly if they're going to have what it takes or not. Just
Yes.
how they react to this whole situation that realistically will be the norm for them.
Thanks for listening. Please leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And check us out at collectingkeyspodcast.com for tips and guides on starting your own real estate investment and wholesaling business.